Welcome to Difficult Conversations. Today, we're diving into a debate that's really shaking the very foundation of our tax system. Who really picks up the bill when billionaires avoid paying their fair share?
That's a heavy one. So we're saying it's not just about yachts and fancy mansions, right?
Exactly, it's about the entire financial structure. When these ultra-wealthy individuals pay little or no taxes, it forces the burden onto everyone else, often right onto our own paychecks, potholes, and public schools.
Yeah, so basically, while billionaires use legal methods to lower their tax bills, we end up footing the bill for infrastructure and public services.
Right? And note, it's not illegal at all. They're exploiting loopholes using armies of accountants, offshore shelters, stock loopholes, and real estate write-offs. It's all above board, but it shifts the cost to the rest of us.
Wow, so when, say, Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk pay nothing, it really is a legal masterpiece of avoidance, not crime, but a system designed to benefit them at our expense, right?
Absolutely. And here's a kicker. ProPublica showed that even legends like Warren Buffett have had years where they paid zero in federal income taxes. Now think about that. Resources that are supposed to fund roads, bridges, schools, even emergency services are underfunded.
Right. It's like someone is reassigning the expenses of our everyday lives. So the cost gets redirected to middle-class families, small business owners, or even through increasing personal debt.
Exactly. It's like a domino effect. When billionaires dodge taxes, the gap doesn't just vanish. It shifts onto you and me. And you see that every time you get a higher property tax bill or notice underfunded schools in your neighborhood.
Yep. Speaking of shifting burdens, what about the capital gains loophole? That's one area where the game really seems skewed.
Oh, totally. It's like this. Billionaires usually earn their money through investments, stocks, real estate, you name it. And those gains are taxed at a lower rate compared to wages. In many cases, if they don't sell their assets, they pay nothing until, well, maybe never, thanks to clever estate planning.
That's just mind-blowing, especially when you consider everyday workers pay payroll and sales taxes on literally everything.
Right. And then there's the infamous example of Peter Thiel turning a $2,000 Roth IRA investment into a $5 billion windfall without paying the taxes that regular savers would face. It's not genius. It's a rigged game.
But wait, some might argue that these billionaires create jobs and drive economic growth, right?
Sure, that's the classic retort, but let's challenge that. For instance, the tax cuts in 2017 supposedly spurred job creation, yet what we saw was mostly corporations, well, using the extra cash for stock buybacks rather than hiring new people.
True.
So it wasn't really about workers at all.
But isn't there a counterpoint that tax cuts ultimately free up capital so businesses can invest more broadly?
Well, it's a bit of a stretch. Those arguments, in reality, rarely translate to job creation for the average worker. It's like redirecting funds to shareholders instead of reinvesting into communities that need support, like roads, schools, or healthcare.
And then there's the fact that these wealthy individuals benefit from public programs they helped to erode: public roads, educated workforces, internet infrastructure. They enjoy these benefits without paying the true cost.
Yes, precisely. While a regular taxpayer is scrimping through every dollar of payroll tax and sales tax, companies like Google can offshore their profits to Bermuda. It's an uneven playing field.
Oh, absolutely. It's chilling to think about the broader implications, too. When the wealthiest set their own tax rates, they essentially, set the political rules as well, don't they?
Exactly. They fund politicians, sponsor lobby groups, and actively work to maintain a system that preserves their privilege. It's not just economic inequality, it's political inequality, and that undermines democracy itself.
Yeah. But then, how do we reconcile the argument that the wealthy create prosperity even if indirectly? Isn't innovation driven by people who have amassed this wealth?
That's a fair question, but here's where I push back. Success comes with responsibility. If you benefit so much from a system, you should contribute accordingly. It's not about punishing success. It's about ensuring civic decency.
Right, I see. So it's not simply a matter of black and white. It's a balance of fairness and responsibility. But then why doesn't our system change if so many people agree on this issue?
Because these billionaires aren't just evading taxes. They're actively investing in maintaining a broken system. They fund think tanks, super PACs, and lobby groups that stir up fears. If you raise taxes, it'll destroy the economy.
It almost sounds like they're creating a narrative that protects their interests while ensuring that the majority, us, bears the burden.
Exactly. And while polls show that most Americans across the political spectrum agree the rich should pay more, the reality is that political influence and money keep the status quo intact.
Yep, this is really a system where the rules are written by those who avoid playing by them.
Absolutely. It's like the rules of the game are rigged before it even starts. You end up funding everything from public schools to healthcare, while the richest steer clear of their due share.
Yeah, right. And then the twist? When you see decaying roads and underfunded schools, you might think it's just bad management. But really, it's because you're, picking up the slack when billionaires opt out.
Precisely. And that's where the conversation becomes truly difficult. The very infrastructure that underpins our society relies on taxes, and yet many of those who profit the most don't contribute proportionally.
True. It almost becomes like a hidden subsidy from the middle class to the top tier of wealth, a transfer that's not directly visible on a balance sheet.
Exactly right. And this transfer of responsibility affects everything, from your property taxes to what your kids will eventually inherit in the form of public debt.
So, if I understand correctly, the crux is that legal tax avoidance by billionaires not only makes the system unfair, but also compromises the very fabric of our public institutions.
Yes, and it's a point that really challenges our ideas about success and fairness. When success is achieved at the expense of shared responsibility, it puts enormous pressure on every other element of society to pick up the bill.
Right on. I'm curious, though. Some critics might say that higher taxes on the wealthy could stifle investment and innovation. What do you make of that argument?
That's a common critique, but if you look at countries like Denmark, Norway, or Germany, they have progressive tax codes and yet boast high quality of life and robust economic stability. The evidence suggests that it's not about stifling innovation, but ensuring fair participation in a system that's working for everyone.
It's like the argument that lowering taxes for the rich will trickle down is more of a fairy tale than fact.
Exactly, and it's high time we question that narrative. When the system is skewed so heavily in favor of the rich, it's the everyday taxpayer who ends up paying for all the shortcomings, from bad roads to failing schools.
Right, absolutely. And ultimately, if we don't address the imbalance, the very foundation of our democracy, where every voice is supposed to count, gets undermined by the disproportionate power of money in politics.
Spot on. It's not about penalizing success, but ensuring that success comes with the responsibility to support the community that, made it possible in the first place.
Yes, this discussion really cuts to the heart of economic justice. It leaves us with a crucial question. How can we reshape our tax system so that the burden is shared fairly and our public services are properly funded?
Exactly. And these are the difficult questions that we need to keep pushing. Questions that force us to think about fairness and responsibility across all layers of society.
It's a challenging conversation, but one that's absolutely necessary if we ever hope to build a more equitable system.
Absolutely. When we see broken roads or underfunded schools, we need to ask, who's really paying for this, rather than accepting that it's just an inevitable cost of economic success.
Yep. Thanks for the engaging dive into these crucial issues. It leaves us with a lot to think about, like, how do we move forward to ensure economic justice for all?
Right, let's keep this conversation going. Share your thoughts, ask tough questions, and remember, when billionaires avoid their share, it's our collective responsibility that gets burdened.
Exactly. That wraps up another thought-provoking discussion on difficult conversations. Until next time, keep questioning and challenging the status quo.